Hey y'all, I am outside of our RV site. It is gorgeous here with the woods and the shade and the pond back behind that I thought, ooh, I'm gonna sit outside today. So nice. Soak in some of God's sunshine and just the beauty of nature around us. When God calls us to something, he doesn't always tell us the full plan, right? He very often will just ask you to step out in obedience, and I think sometimes he waits to see if we will. And I feel like I've asked Jesus, to use us and to step out of the boat like Peter, and that he has said, come to me, and I have stepped out of the boat, and I'm really trying to focus on him and walk towards him without, starting to sink. But it gets hard sometimes when you have these outside forces, right? Those wind and waves. Trying to just keep your focus directed on God can really be a challenge, but absolutely necessary. There is a verse in Psalms 119, verse 105 that says, "Your word is a lamp for my feet and a light on my path." When I think of light, I think of a lot of being able to see, right? And sometimes a lamp is smaller. I think of like the little lanterns that, they used to carry or whatever, that only kind of showed right in front. I think there are times when we get to have the big light and we get to see more of the picture, but more often than not, and on this journey, it has been just that lantern of like right in front of us. And sometimes I don't even feel like I've had the lantern. Literally, have you ever seen those things where you'll step on it and then they light up, those like bricks or whatever, you step and they light? That's what I feel like. I feel like God's saying to me, you step and I'll show you. And so I'm just stepping and like, okay, God, you want me to step here? Okay, and it lights up, and you can see just a little bit, and then you've got to step again before you can get a little bit more light. And it is certainly growing my faith, and we haven't even started really on this journey yet. Last night, after some tears and some prayers and some more tears, my mom had called, and so I called her back, and she encouraged me to watch this sermon that their pastor had shared this last Sunday, and it was exactly what I needed to hear. He talked about Abraham and how because of Abraham's unwavering belief, he got to experience this incredible blessing, and that how his father, before they had left Ur, and they were supposed to be headed to Canaan, which we would learn later in the Old Testament was the promised land, and they settled. They gave up going to Canaan. Then when Abraham got older, God then came to him and told him that his descendants would inherit this land, and called him. And because of his faithfulness, he experienced this incredible blessing of, having descendants that numbered the stars. And Jesus actually came from that lineage, and just all these blessings because of his unwavering faith. And it encouraged me to keep going, that we don't see the plan, we don't see the path, but we know what he's calling us to. And he has called us to leave Livingston and to set out for our Canaan. And we're not real sure where exactly Canaan will be. There will be stops along the way, and experiences that we get to have, and people that we get to meet and come into contact with, but that we have to stay faithful and keep going. That it would have been very easy to just stay settled here in Livingston. We had a very content life. We had a beautiful home that we had just built a couple of years prior, and land for the boys to just play and be boys and ride dirt bikes and everything else on. And Corey has wonderful business with amazing customers that have been so good to us over the years. We were highly involved in our church, including sitting on the board, and it would have been very easy to just stay in this settled. But God wasn't calling us to settle. He doesn't call any of us to settle. He wants us to keep moving forward in our lives, whether that's physically leaving the place you're at and going after what he has for you, flying out those bumblebee callings, or whether that's growing where you are and moving forward. We should always be moving forward in life, especially with our faith. we've never arrived. We don't arrive until we get home to heaven. So we always have more growing and more progressing to do. And I hope and pray that you guys are pressing into that and that you are growing in being those pollinators, those bumblebees that God has called you to be, because I am certainly right there with you trying to get these wings to flap, because sometimes they don't want to. Sometimes it's hard to want to flap those wings and be the bumblebees and the pollinators that we're called to be, but it is what he calls us to be. Once you come to know Christ, you have two jobs: to know him and to make him known. That is what we were put on this earth to do. And we should always be moving forward with that. We should never settle and stay where we are. We should keep wanting to grow in our walk, grow in our faith, because there is pollinating to be done. So whether you feel like it's laid on your heart to actually physically leave like we are and go out into the world, into the community and pollinate, or be pollinators at your job, be pollinators in your household, we should always be sharing the word of God, and we should always be sharing the love of Jesus to those around us, because we are pollinators. It is simply what we are made to do. Is it easy? No. I told you, I broke down bawling last night because I feel ill-equipped. But here's the beautiful thing. I am ill-equipped, but he's not. And if he called us to it, he's going before us anyways. So what do we have to worry about? Trust and obey, for there's no other way to be happy in Jesus but to trust and obey. Did he say easy? No. Did he say without difficulty or storm? No. But we simply have to trust. Even when we don't have the light and we just have the lamp, and sometimes it's a really tiny lamp, it's in those moments that we truly get to press into God, and we truly get to grow our faith, and he gets to show up as only he can do. And that's pretty cool. All right, Lord, I'll be the bumblebee. I'll be the pollinator. I'm gonna dry my eyes, quit crying, flap my wings, and do what he's called me to. I hope y'all will too.